Well, very good evening and many thanks indeed for joining us. My name is OMONDI and this is KTV Primetime News. It is a Monday, the 17th day of October, the year 2022. Tonight, we have a lot in store for you in what is happening in the country and of course beyond our borders. Today has witnessed a lot on the political front as the nominees for the different dockets in the cabinet were vetted officially, and of course this vetting process continues throughout the week for the various seats until the 22nd person is vetted in Dr. William Ruto's cabinet. Just a lot for you, but first let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight. The step to occupy various cabinet dockets officially began today as nominees face the Committee on Appointments. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua takes a temporary relief as the court adjourns the 7.4 billion graft case against him. Kenyans express mixed reactions as telcos switch off the unregistered SIM cards in the country. Grief engulfed residents as two men found murdered and their body tied to a school fence in Kisii County.
This is KUTV Primetime News with OTIENO.
Welcome to the broadcast, and not alone in the company of Macklin Cheng, who is our sign language interpreter tonight, and we're streaming live this broadcast on social media platforms on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, and Twitter, KUTV_Kenya. It's also live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live. Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has appealed to the development partners to work closely with the government in exploring lasting solutions to the recurrent famine in some parts of the country. Mr. Gachagua said that the government will work in collaboration with the non-governmental organizations to ensure that in addressing the challenges pertaining to the famine in the country. The Deputy President, who was speaking during the World Food Day in Loitoktok, Kajiado County, said that his office will have effective and reliable engagement on a daily basis over the issue. He also thanked the Kajiado Governor, Joseph Olelenko, for working with the government in addressing the challenges facing the people. Also present was the Public Service and Gender CS Margaret Kobia, who noted that many counties have been hit by drought, saying that the efforts are being done to contain the situation.
Mimi sitaki nisidishe kutoka hapo. Nimefurahi sana na tumefurahia sana watu wa Kajiado, and governor and all the leaders will talk. Let's work together for our people. It can only help our people, by the way. We'll sit with our development partners. We look for a lasting solution to the effects of the climate change, because what we are doing today, giving relief food, is not sustainable. We must come up with other interventions ambaye itakaa sawa sawa. Therefore, want to assure our development partners that the new government led by President William Ruto will make your work in this country very easy and enjoyable, because there will be continuous engagement on a daily basis.
And away from that, the vetting of the 22 cabinet secretary nominees whom President William Ruto announced last month commenced today at the Parliament buildings in Nairobi. The nominees will present themselves before the 15-member committee chaired by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, which will assess them to establish if they are competent and meet the requirements of the Chapter 6 of the Constitution on integrity.
In line with the schedule published by the National Assembly's clerk, Sarah Kioko, the vetting exercise of CS nominees that kicked off today will run through to Saturday, October 22nd, with the exception of Thursday, October 20th, when the country will observe Mashujaa Day. Appearing before the panel today were the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, Justin Muturi, Attorney General nominee, Aden Duale, the Defense CS nominee, Dr. Alfred Mutua, the Foreign Affairs CS nominee, and Alice Wahome, nominated to be Water and Sanitation Cabinet Secretary. On the second day, Tuesday 18th October, the committee will vet Kithure Kindiki, Interior and National Administration CS, Njuguna Ndung'u, National Treasury and Planning CS, Aisha Jumwa, Public Service Cabinet Secretary, Davis Chirchir, Energy and Petroleum CS, Moses Kuria for Trade and Industry. On the third day, Wednesday 19th October, the committee will censor Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen, CS for Roads, Rosalinda Soipan Tuya, Environment and Forestry Cabinet nominee, Penina Malonza, CS for Tourism, Zakaria Mwangi Njeru, CS for Lands and Housing, and Susan Nakumicha Wafula, CS for Health. On the fourth day, Friday 21st October, the committee will access Mithika Linturi for Agriculture, Eliud Oalo for Information Communication, Ezekiel Mashogu for Education Cabinet Post, Ababuna Mwamba for Youth Affairs, Rebecca Miano for East African Community Cabinet Post. On the fifth and final day, on Saturday, 22nd October, the following will appear: Simon Chelugui for Cooperatives and Enterprises Development, Salim Mvuria, CS for Mining, Florence Bore for Labor and Social Protection, and finally Mercy Wanjau, Secretary to the Cabinet Post. This vetting will take almost a month after lawmakers of the 12th Parliament changed the law on the vetting days of CS from the initial 14 to 28 days. The Committee of Appointments will then conduct public vetting before retreating to write its report. The committee will then table the report in the National Assembly for MPs to either adopt or reject. If adopted, President Ruto will formally appoint the individuals as CS, and the elected MPs will have to officially resign to take up their new roles in government. Jeff Mwangi, KUTV.
Thank you so much, Jeff Mwangi, for that report. Now, Musalia Mudavadi was the first to pitch to the Parliamentary Committee on Appointments. Mudavadi, who is the Prime Cabinet Secretary designate, said that the vetting process marks the transition from politics to serious service delivery. Mudavadi also distanced himself from the Goldenberg and Cemetery scandals as he revealed his 4 billion shillings massive financial chest.
Honorable members, you will recall.
A few minutes after 9, in comes Musalia Mudavadi, the first to go through the question and answer session to take up the position of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, whose legality had been questioned by the opposition side.
It is notable that in compliance with the provisions of Article 152(1)(d) of the Constitution, the President nominated 22 Cabinet Secretaries, among them being the Prime Cabinet Secretary. In this regard, the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary finds its constitutional basis under Article 152(1)(d) of the Constitution, and the nominee, if approved, will be one of the Cabinet Secretaries. Honorable members, you will recall.
With the stalemate settled, Mudavadi was put on the defense of his appointment, banking largely on his wealth of experience, having joined politics at age 29 and swiftly rising to become a minister at age 33. The panel, led by Speaker Moses Wetangula, also sought clarity on the position of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, its significance, and whether it conflicted with that of the Deputy President.
Honorable members,
Mudavadi's position on the Building Bridges Initiative (BBI) and his vocal sentiments on government borrowing played out even as he announced his exit as party leader of the Amani National Congress ANC.
have you at any time held any position in a political party?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have.
Which is?
I have, the most recent one was being party leader of the Amani National Congress.
Are you still the leader?
No, Mr. Chairman, that whenever I go to that office, I will know that those are hard workers in our country, and therefore we must not let them down. We must work hard and improve on this country. So I am personally very delighted to be domiciled at the railway headquarters.
He distanced himself from the multi-billion golden bag scandal, where billions of taxpayer money was lost, as well as symmetry scandal, where 300 million shillings was misappropriated, citing findings of no wrongdoing by investigators. Mudavadi was also put to task over Woodley land grabbing issue, as he revealed his cumulative net worth of 4 billion shillings.
I want to put it on record here that the ethics or the Kenya anti-corruption body at that time went on a tangent that they had not verified the facts. I ended up also seeking legal redress for defamation on their part and for them having given out misleading information.
Would you tell this committee your financial net worth?
Mr. Speaker, yes, I would comment on that. If I take my investments in shares in various, in some companies, and also the properties that I own, I would put my net worth at about 4 billion shillings.
Musalia Mudavadi has served in cabinet in previous regimes, including as Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Local Government in the 2007 Grand Coalition Government. Dennis Omondi, KUTV, Nairobi.
Attorney General nominee and the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, also today appeared before the Committee of Appointments at Parliament buildings for the scrutinization of his appointment as the Attorney General. He replaces Justice Kiara Kariuki as the AG.
Former Speaker of the National Assembly Justin Muturi was the second to face the vetting committee led by Speaker Moses Wetangula after his nomination as the Attorney General in President William Ruto's government. Muturi urged on the need to have more workers in the office of the Attorney General in a bid to improve the legal services in the country. He also dismissed claims about corruption allegations that cases he had in the mid-90s were withdrawn and he has no case to answer. During his vetting, he addressed DPP Nurdin Haji's recent act of dropping several cases, saying that it will be premature to give positions to the dropped charges since the reasons to do so have not been made public. The Attorney General nominee revealed that his financial net worth is estimated at 700 million, amounting that the wealth is from his farming business and occasional wages he gets from consultancy services. Should he get an approval by the committee, he is expected to provide policy, coordination and oversight with regard to various legal sector institutions. Muturi served in the judicial service from 1982 to 1997 before he was elected as the Siakago Member of Parliament following a 1999 by-election. He won re-election in 2002 and served as the opposition chief whip and the chair of Public Investment Committee during the 10th Parliament. In 2013, Muturi ran for the Mbeere North parliamentary seat as a member of the National Alliance Party but lost to Muriuki Njagagwa before winning the speakership position consecutively in the 11th and 12th parliaments. John Wahome reporting for KUTV.
And also, of course, a member who appeared before the committee, the parliamentary committee on the appointments, was Alfred Mutua, who was the former governor, now being appointed as the cabinet secretary for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And he had a lot of questions to answer concerning this post. And one of the things that really stood out was the question on his net worth, saying that his net worth was below 420 million, which was questioned by the nominated member of parliament, by Junet Mohammed, saying that his net worth cannot be less than 420 million since he owns a good and a big hotel in the county in which he was the governor. Let's take a look at what he said at that committee.
Diaspora, Mheshimiwa Gladys Sholei, through Mr. Chair. It is quite unfortunate that as we sit here, Kenyans have died. There's a question, Mr. Chairman, about branding Maendeleo Chap Chap. Maendeleo Chap Chap was my slogan, which I came up with as soon as I was sworn in. Issue of the diaspora, Mheshimiwa Gladys. But there's a question that we're asking ourselves, and that is, a lot of Kenyans go overseas. They go to Qatar, they go to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, they go to Singapore, they go to many other countries, but yet they are dying in Saudi Arabia. There is a problem. I've seen a tendency where there's a blaming of the victims. I heard the other day some people saying the problem is with our girls. It's blaming the victims. It's very, very bad. There's a big problem, and if I am cleared and nominated, I'm cleared and then I'm sworn in, I'm going to ensure that we work with the labor team and the labor ministry to ensure there are systems in this country so that we are able to know who really needs to go overseas, how it is done. Are these girls trained? How do they get to go there? When they arrive in Saudi Arabia or other countries, do we monitor where they are, where they live, etc., etc.?
And away from Mutua now to Alice Wahome, who is a member of parliament elected in Kandara constituency. She said that in her docket she will implement water conservation system to deal with the drought cases. Saying that this can be made possible by construction of dam and trapping water. She also said that irrigation schemes that have been affected by politics, and thus delaying some of them, adding that the county government should come up with new ideas of conserving water and establishing irrigation schemes. Moreover, she also encouraged the government and stakeholders and the Ministry of Environment to come together and work together, of course, with other state agencies to ensure that the issue of drought is solved in the country.
And congratulations, Honorable Wahome, on your nomination as Cabinet Secretary. I'm Gladys Boss, member for Wasingishu.
The first question was regarding my temperament, whether I will resign or maybe he means whether I will fight with people I'm not happy with in terms of the way they are working. I'm not exactly a young person. I have the advantage of working now maybe for the last 40 years. And I do not recall any other incidents. You will also maybe want to know, and I want to put it on record that I have been a politician for 20 years. Although I have served 2 terms and this now 3rd term, and I have not been involved in any other fight, altercation, except this that you seem to pick, honorable members.
And Aiden Duale, there's the Garissa Township Member of Parliament, was also among the first batch of the Cabinet Secretary nominees who appeared before the vetting panel on Monday. Duale was interviewed on various matters including security and corruption, among others, as Anu Dida now reports.
Born and raised in Garissa County, Honorable Aden Duale, a household name in the Kenya political scene, has served as a member of the National Assembly for Garissa Township constituency since 2013 up until 2022. On 28 September 2022, Duale was nominated as the next Cabinet Secretary for Defense by President William Ruto. Among other issues, the committee chaired by Speaker Moses Wetangula questioned how, if approved for appointment, he will conclusively deal with the issue on Migingo Island that has since been contested between Kenya and Uganda.
And KDF will at all times protect our nation from any external aggression. Coming to the matter of Migingo in Uganda, there is already a boundary, government boundary committee which was set up, which is yet to give its final report.
While he agreed that he was a Kenyan Somali, Duale ascertained that he was first a Kenyan and further called out the stereotype on the Somali community, stating that he will perform his duties diligently.
but I don't think I am that reckless. I have served the people of Kenya in various capacity, and I don't think I will, and I have not discriminated. I am ready to work and protect the people of Kenya, defend them as per the Constitution.
The Defense CS nominee was put to task over a promise he made in 2015 to name the terrorist sympathizers who had been funding Al-Shabaab activities in the country after an attack at Garissa University that left 148 dead, a claim that Duale refuted. Duale was questioned on his opinion on how the Ministry of Defense handled the friction caused by the Ugandan People's Defense Force General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, where he reckoned that the proclamations by Muhoozi could not be taken as a military threat but only as a diplomatic tiff which had been handled appropriately.
Let's treat the tweets of the general with the contempt it deserves. We should not bother, and I think the Kenyan people on Twitter dealt with the general before even Foreign Affairs and KDF were to come in.
The defense nominee also responded to a number of other issues raised by the committee members, including cattle rustling, military recruitment, participation of women, and sexual harassment in the defense forces. Should he be approved by the committee, Duale, who has served at the helm of the National Assembly as leader of the majority, will have to resign from his current position as Garissa Township MP. Anodida, KUTV, Nairobi.
Here on my chronometer is 23 minutes was the top of the hour. It's time to take a fast break here on KTV Primetime News. The moment shall be coming back with the discussion of the night. Of course, now talking about the state of politics in the country. Stay with us. See you on the other side.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Unemployment has hit you hard. Your salary is meager. You decide to venture into business, but you're struggling to thrive in it. You would want to reap a big tip on how not to run into losses.
Forget the preachy business vlogs, the hyperbolic motivational speeches, and all the roads down desperation.
Hope has come with model stories from small successful entrepreneurs. We tell you these tales weekly on The Budding Entrepreneur. Join us as we help you make your trade profitable and often smile to the bank.
Also to talk to us about the technicalities of DIN and how they do the operations is Mr. Peter Getao.
Our technology is very much portable. We use a device called a Linify. This is an offline education server which is connected to a 1 terabyte hard disk. Within the 1 terabyte hard disk, we have content, and the Linify sends a Wi-Fi network to any device that can connect to Wi-Fi connection. Here we have our lab. We have 5 kgs and 10 kgs. So students, they will discover by doing.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata box, just name them.
Pull up in a payment, too much, too clean and tall. Serious another, a big time player. Trip too big and kind of, I went. Flexer, Tina said gym, too hot.
The show comes every Thursday from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Keep it locked, make sure we keep fit, and that's it from me to you. Let's be fit.
Big and kind of, I went. Flexer, Tina said gym, too hot like a heater. My neck down froze like winter. I'm very young, nigga. Trace on the picture.
The percentage in which government is giving opportunities to this specific type of groups under the AGPO, like what percentage has the government given?
No, but like I said, you see, when a budget is done for every year, every ministry will be able to place their budget for it. But whatever is given to them, 30% of the budget for that ministry is dedicated to AGPO. 30%. So if let's assume, for instance, that a ministry is given 2 billion, for instance. Now, 30% of 2 billion would be about 600,000? 600 million. That will be dedicated to AGPO. And therefore, when you go to a ministry, as a young person, as a person living with disability, 600 million is actually meant for you.
This is The Agenda with Bentura Kumbuka and Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna.
Bila shaka, mbiu ya mgambo ikilia, kuna jambo. Na sasa, katika QTV Rise Today, makala ya TBT. Tunaongeza kuni, tunawasha moto. Tunaingia barabarani kuangalia hali ilivyo. Takwimu za corona na kupa habari zinazojiri na zinazokuhusu na kujuza na kukumbusha yaliyotendeka siku kama hii ndani ya historia. Kisha na kuletea wageni na wataalamu, tudadavui, tufahamu na tuchukue nafasi yetu kama vijana katika uongozi, uchumi na masuala ya kisiasa nchini. Na joto likizidi, tunaingia uwanjani, tunachambua spoti ya Kenya. Ni kila Alhamisi saa 1 hadi saa 4 asubuhi, nami Vincent Maina almaarufu Ojwang mtoto wa Mariam, ndani ya QTV, a new experience.
I am an open-minded person. I like learning new skills, new ideas. I plan to work harder and push myself to become better and better every
watching KUTV Primetime News with OMONDI OTIENO.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on KUTV Primetime News. And if you're just joining us, you're streaming live this broadcast on our social media platforms on Facebook, KUTV Kenya, and Twitter, KUTV_Kenya. It's also live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live. Now, the Cabinet Secretary nominees today were on the hot seat, appearing before the National Assembly Appointments Committee to prove their competence in the respective dockets. And last week, members of the August House vowed to focus on the Chapter 6 of the Constitution on integrity in the vetting process. And a section of Azimio MPs insisted that the Prime Cabinet Secretary post, which is given to Musalia Mudavadi, is illegal and it has no roles provided for in the Constitution. That is politics. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua also takes a temporary leave as the court adjourns the graft case against him. Can we foresee the ending? And that generally forms the basis of our discussion tonight. And joining me is Victor Miso, who is a political analyst. Thank you so much, Victor, for dedicating your time for this discussion.
It's always my pleasure to be here.
All right, let's get the ball rolling. Today we have seen what's happened. The nominees for the various dockets in the cabinet today faced the committee, the parliamentary committee on appointment. And of course, we've seen the people who are vetted today, taking examples of Musalia Mudavadi, Duale, the IG to come, that is Justin Muturi, and of course others who are on the hot seat today. So what do you make of, rather, just assessing from how the vetting process went, how smooth probably it was, and the kind of questions they were being asked? Generally, what do you make of this whole process?
When I take from the words of Senior Counsel Cherargei, they just said the process it's just a process. The nomination is done and dusted. I saw it in his Twitter handle. And truth be told,
yes,
no one will be turned down. You can see every legal loophole that will undermine the vetting processes. President Ruto, as wise as he is, he has already tackled it. He foresees some of the events and he did things that overtook events. For instance, you can see graft cases against some of the CS nominees, Aisha Juma cases being dropped. So far, nothing can hinder the process. As Kenya, let's just give them time. It's their government. This is how they see fit. Let's give them time.
All right, and of course, talking about probably one or two being dropped in this vetting process, we saw the kind of questions that are being asked, which cut across, of course, all the nominees today, was the question of net worth. And we have seen, of course, most of these nominees were allied to the Kenya Kwanza camp. So, and the Kenya Kwanza camp during the campaign, the narrative that they were selling is the hustler narrative, until when they got to Alfred Mutua. Junet Mohammed was asking that you're telling us that your net worth is 420 million and you own a luxurious hotel which probably would amount to such a net worth. So do you really think that these nominees are being truthful with some of the responses, and most leaders measure this on their net worth?
The way I see it is these CSs are assumed to adhere by the Chapter 6 of the Constitution. We assume that these leaders have integrity to tell us the truth, of which in most of the cases is not what we think it's right. Because if you give someone a chance to declare their wealth or their net worth, it's only proper if a proper audit that is done either by an independent contracted agency or the government itself for us to actually ascertain, now you're coming into office, you're worth this amount. After 5 years of you serving, we come again, we do another forensic audit into your wealth and property and determine. So you are 218 million, and by the time 5 years end, you are 6 billion. You need to explain to us what miracle did you use. And so I've seen some Kenyans on Twitter and other social media platforms trolling Justin Muturi.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because sometimes back Justin Muturi was saying that his net worth was, that is in 2021, that his net worth was 300 million. And of course, before the panel today, he was saying that his net worth is 700 million.
Exactly.
So that raises this question.
And this shows that the matter of audit, the matter of the wealth declaration is not given the seriousness it deserves. You see, because it's the AG nominee that is, they have signed a pre-coalition agreement, we will let it pass. But does it really tell the kind of leaders we have? Does Muturi today, how can Muturi come out and declare, this is how I got the 400 million over 4 years with the inflation and the crazy economy? Muturi must be a very good business person.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, really interesting time that we're living in. And now another thing that really has really raised a lot of questions is the position that was being created, the position that was created actually by the executive order of the president, the position of the prime cabinet secretary that was given to the ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi. The leaders allied to the Azimio said that this position is unconstitutional. This position has no provisions in the constitution. But now we have seen today, of course, the vetting process went on smoothly for Musalia Mudavadi, and of course we expect that when this whole process is done, he'll be assuming the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. What do you make of this, of course, question that will be raised by the leaders allied to the Azimio camp?
To be honest, the leaders of the Azimio camp might, I'm not saying will, are certainly, but might have a point. But I question their motive. What do they really want? Because if we go by their words, if you really think something is unconstitutional, the right channel to do is you go to court.
Yes.
No one has gone to court, which means they're just doing it for, to be seen as if they're doing the. I'm urging them to get down and do the real work instead of, coming up with claims that they can't substantiate, and the noise just, ends at the premises of the building of parliament. For instance, why am I saying this? We both know there was an executive order that President Ruto gave a while back, and how he's intending to restructure its government. And by the constitution, he has that power. And one thing that the Azimio people cannot tell you is that the position of Prime Cabinet Secretary is actually, Musalia Mudavadi is no or less than a CS, because the constitution says that we can have a maximum of 22 cabinet secretaries, and in all the cabinet nominees that were elected, including Musalia Mudavadi, who is a CS, but his role as a CS has been, stipulated and given by the standing, by the order that the president gave. So there is nothing new. What my honest analysis, I think that there is no illegality in the matter, because Musalia Mudavadi is a CS going through vetting. It's not like we are going to change the constitution. No, he's being vetted as a CS. But the difference is his role as a CS is way different from the other roles of CS. His role is mainly coordination and, parliament liaison. So there's nothing illegal or new about it. So if the Azimio people are saying that they feel that there's some illegality, the right place to do is to go get us court order and stop the voting process.
And of course, it's interesting that you've mentioned that we have not seen them following the right procedure, that is going to court, because that is what the Constitution provides. And of course now, still maybe leaning on that, the questions of course that are being raised by the Azimio camp. Do they have the numbers in the first place? Because we saw the majority leader, in as much as earlier on they were claiming that they had the majority in the August House. We saw the majority leader, the position of the majority whip and the majority leader going to the Kenya Kwanza camp. And of course we've all seen this in the Senate. So in as much as this Azimio might be grappling, raising questions in the houses, do they really stand a chance of standing against the wills and the desires of the government of the day if they don't have these numbers in parliament?
When you structured in a way that it's understandable. But what we're seeing right now, the Azimio people have no numbers. They're disorganized. They're in fights between themselves. People are saying other people are given more position. There's a claim that one person was given four committees to rule with other people, even one they're not given. So they're in fights, they're disorganized, so they cannot even mount any formidable opposition to check the government. So what they need to do first is they go back, sit, chart their way forward, have an agreement on how they're going to counter, because there are so many central position of that there are so many positions that different Azimio leaders are coming with, which are contradicting and which makes them look weak and disorganized. So the first thing they need to do is to organize themselves and then try to lobby and get numbers. But currently, as they stand, Azimio people have no numbers. What they're just doing is trying to be relevant. I'm sorry to be harsh today, but I'm just saying the truth.
Yeah, interesting. Now, of course, today we also saw what happened. There's the DPP, the office of the DPP was granted 3 weeks to review the evidence on the graft case against the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, which is mounting to 7.4 billion shillings, and of course together with his 9 allies. Now, this is taking us back to what we saw happening in this office of the Director of Public Prosecution, which is headed by Nurdin Haji. Among a number of nominees to the cabinet, we saw the cases that were the graft cases that were against them being dropped one by one, and of course normally when a lot of questions were raised on the move by Nurdin Haji, he made a U-turn in one of the cases. Now we are here with the case against the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Now this saying that they requested for more time, of course, from the prosecutor, that they given time to review the evidence. So can we rather try to foresee where is this case headed? This is a case against the person who is the second in command in this country. Where do you foresee this case being headed?
Today I'm in a mood of being honest, and I'm going to be honest.
Right.
So I'll take you back before election, when it was the campaign period, and one of the platforms that the Kenya Kwanza government that played on was on the promise of to liberate the Kenyans from state capture, to stop extrajudicial killings, and to revive the economy.
Right.
So around 30 days after the general election, we see the Kenyan Kwanza government trying to fulfill some of the promises. They're trying to fix the economy, but there are things that you don't need you don't need money to fix. Such things that they say, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has times without number say that he was being tormented, he was being intimidated, cases were being brought upon him. Now he's second in command. What do you expect? So if that was the platform that they used and the people elected them, knowing that that was part of the manifesto, we Kenya shouldn't complain, because when they told us that's what they're going to do, we voted for them. This is what they said. This is what they call freedom.
Right.
So we see people complaining that why are other cases being dropped when other cases like Waluke's case is still there. But if we go back to what they promised, this is what they promised, and this is basically what they are trying to fulfill. We see the disbandment of the elite squad from the DCI. So this is a government trying to fulfill its promises. So I see all cases that Dr. Habi as being excited to drop will definitely disappear. And I don't expect differently from Rigathi's case.
All right, and of course, now that you brought up the issue of Sirisia MP Waluke, now, it is a case that the graft charges that were on him were about 700 million Kenyan shillings, and now this one we are having it a case that is 10 times that of Sirisia MP Waluke, and we saw how tough the government and the court was on Waluke, saying that he was supposed to pay a fine of 1 billion Kenyan shillings or serve those number of years in the jail court. So talking about this, and of course, we saw the cases that were being dropped by the DPP were cases against people who are allied to the Kenya Kwanza camp, which is headed by the president of the country, that is Dr. William Ruto. Now, when it is not favoring the side that is on the government, we see how tough the state. Now the state is on rather this side. So do we see really that maybe in conclusion, what can we say? Is it that the state capture is now shifting? Rather, the state capture naturally shifts to the position where for people who are not in government.
And that's a valid point. And if we look it from that angle, critics will say, why is it that if indeed Nordin Haji doesn't have evidence against some cases, why is it that these cases are only allies of the president Ruto? Why is it that no other cases that are being withdrawn? So the suspicion is, why is it a certain caliber of people being forward over other people? And I think for good democracy and good manners, it's the DPP should come out, give out a satisfactory statement to the public. It's not because we support the government, but we need the explanation. You can't just wake up and tell us that the person that was killed in Kilifi County, when there was a by-election, when there was chaos that allegedly Aisha Juma was being charged, that the person died, but the person who killed him is nowhere to be found. The person died and was shot, so someone shot the person. Who is that person? If it's not Aisha Juma. So don't just drop cases, give us satisfactory answers. So a fair question is Aisha Juma is pleaded not guilty. Fair. Who killed the young boy?
Right.
Where did the bullet come from, heaven or somewhere? So the DPP needs to come out and clarify some of the issues. It's not a matter of which side you're on, it's a matter of perception. If we perceive that the DPP has been captured by the state before even the State Capture Commission has been established, then there's a big problem.
Right.
So the DPP needs to come out and give explanation. I know the Constitution gives you the power to withdraw after the court has given you a leave.
Yes.
But for good democracy, come out and give us the statement.
All right. And now, of course, maybe probably as we wind up this, in the face of winding up the discussion, there is the question of delivering to the mandate that the government of the day made to the electorates. We have seen something that has really sparked discussions that, of course, engaging Kenyans online, saying when the president himself saying that our competitors are coming with this plan and this is our plans. It raises a lot of questions now. When you're in government, who are people you're competing with? And of course, in line with that, there was an issue of the president saying that the Hustler Fund, which shall be rolled out in December, will not be free money. And this is, it's about there's a disparity between what he said and what he was saying during the campaign period, that 50 billion shillings shall be set aside by the government and it should be supporting hustlers in one way or the other. So what do you make of the whole this? Is it a question of is it a question of now politics coming into play where leaders are speaking from both sides of the mouth?
I can say it's a very perfect skill that politicians have mastered, because in campaigning there's what we call messaging.
Right.
They intended to give the 50 billion, but they needed to give it in a certain way that people would be appealed. So it's a matter of they were trying to market, but coming to the realities of the day, now it conforms. They say that the Hustler Fund, the loans will have an interest of not less than 1 digit, not more than 1 digit.
Yes.
And during the campaign, they said that there will be no interest.
There are no interest. Yes, on the.
So this is a government that has come and found itself to the reality of the day. And another point we see, the Hustler Fund that was supposed to be established, now it's given to SACCOs. So what do you see the government is trying to involve young people to start saving with SACCOs? So it's a clever trick. But if the government fulfills at least half of what they promised, then President Ruto is going to be re-elected.
All right.
And you see, the former Prime Minister is now in the streets. I think he has adopted the Ruto campaign. Ameanza campaign miaka tano. Amesema kuna another bullet ilikuwa imeanguka. Ilikuwa imeanguka miokota. So the pressure that is being mounted of the government is necessary.
Right.
And we need to see people keeping them in check. If they say one thing during the campaign and they're doing another thing, we need to give them a spot check.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a good thing, but let's give them time. Let's see how things will unfold. You know, we cannot speak in anticipation, because we can anticipate that there will be interest. Maybe even there will be a bigger scandal than they have. So let's just wait and hope for the best as a country.
All right, and I don't know, with that, that's really interesting, because you should take that probably as the parting shot, because you also need to give the government time to deliver on some of its mandates. So let us work with the government. The government, as our analyst has said, that it is an art of politics that has been mastered, that during the campaigns there is a message you send, and once you get into office, tell the message so that the reality really can sink. Thank you so much, Mr. Analyst, Mr. Victor, for your insights on the state of politics, and of course we shall be having more and more of this as we continue. Away from that now, the Anti-Corruption Court has granted the prosecutors 3 weeks to review the evidence tabled on the 7.4 billion Kenyan shillings corruption charges against the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and 9 others. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions was given until November 21st to return to court with directions on the trial. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, ODPP, through the Senior Public Prosecution Counsel, Vera Omolo, appealed to the court for more time to review the evidence submitted on the graft case against the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and 9 others. The Milimani Anti-Corruption Court Magistrate Victor Wakumile allowed the request, giving the prosecutors 3 weeks to review the case before giving directions on whether or not the trial will proceed. This, however, comes at the backdrop of the public outcry, which even saw the Law Society of Kenya (LSK) and other civil society groups question the move by the DPP Nordin Haji for dropping charges against the graft suspects allied to the President William Ruto. In the matter before the court, the DP is charged alongside 9 others, including Nyeri Senator William Wahome Mwangi, Andu Taruo, Julian Jahenda Makar, Samuel Murimi, Grace Wambui Kariuki, Lawrence Kimaru, Irene Wambui Ndigiriri, Ruben David, and a company, MS Rapid Medical Supplies. They are accused of fraudulently receiving 7,330,011,265 shillings through 3 bank accounts at Rafiki Microfinance, while knowing that the monies were proceeds of crime. The fraud was committed on diverse dates between 2013 and 2020 in Nairobi. The court has directed the accused persons, including the DP and the 9 associates, to appear in court for the hearing of the matter, which has been slated for the 21st of November. The DPP is also expected to return to court with the directions of the trial by the same date. Right, away from that, now the move by the Communications Authority of Kenya to switch off the unregistered SIM cards has elicited mixed reactions among Kenyans. Some are urging the government via the CAK to extend the registration deadline, although the measure has pleased many Kenyans, saying that it will reduce the number of cyber crimes in the country.
The registration deadline for SIM cards was on 15th October. This comes after the Communication Authority of Kenya extended the SIM registration deadline, which was 15th of April this year. According to CAK, about 10 million SIM cards from the telecommunication companies were not lawfully registered. Some Kenyans are stranded after their SIM cards were switched off after failing to meet the deadline. This has made it difficult for them to access important services, including M-Pesa and making calls.
I'm one of the victims whom have been affected by closure of this SIM card, deregistering, so to speak. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to register the line, I'm not going to update the line, and this is what has affected Kenyans. We have got very many important businesses, e.g. M-Pesa transaction, calling and messaging, delivery, talking with serious people, getting businesses or online businesses.
I've been affected because my Airtel line is now not functional. I went to activate it, but I never hit the ID. I lost the ID, so I could not complete the process.
There are those claiming to have credible reason for the closure of their SIM cards and are requesting for the extension of the exercise.
Ifahamize watu kwa update line inamaanisha nini. Juzi si wote walienda shule. Alafu iwapee muda. Wakishawaelezea iwapee muda.
According to Communication Authority of Kenya, in coordination with the communication companies, the main aim of the registration exercise is to curb cybercrime cases. The move has got support from Kenyans.
Mwenyewe niko na line mbili, lakini wakati nilienda kuangalia upande wa Safaricom, nilipata nimeregistiwa na line 8 na naambiwa ziko very active. Mimi mwenyewe sijui.
Mtu amechukua ID yangu, ameenda akasajili line, akaandikisha line yake, then baadaye shida ikitokea, wewe mwenye ID ndio unafuatwa.
Despite of the move, the communication companies have outlined appropriate procedures to be followed by those whom SIM cards were switched off. The report revealed by the CAK of 14th October, Safaricom had registered 38 million SIM cards, this representing 91% of the total SIM cards. Airtel recorded 13.4 million, representing 78%, whereas Telcom registered 1.4 million, which is 40%.
Following the government's directive requiring Kenyans to register their SIM cards as a way to curb cybercrimes, Kenyans are urging the government to extend the registration deadline. Shadrack Simiu, KUTV, Nairobi.
Let's now take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. Now, 14 Kenya Premier League clubs have met Football Kenya Federation Secretary General Barry OTIENO here in Nairobi today to resolve the several matters concerning the league. Some of the matters discussed included FIFA Connect transfer portal, the league kickoff, and playing the KPL during the World Cup. Clubs that attended the meeting include Gor Mahia, AFC Leopards, Kariobangi Sharks, Sofapaka FC, among others. And with the World Cup barely a month away, Brazilian superstar Neymar goes on trial in Spain on Monday over alleged irregularities in his transfer to Barcelona nearly a decade ago. The 30-year-old, wearing sunglasses and a dark suit, waved to the press as he arrived with his parents at the provincial court of Barcelona at around 9:45 a.m. The high-profile trial is the culmination of years-long legal saga over the 2013 transfer from the Brazilian club Santos to Barcelona. If convicted, he could face 2 years in jail and a 10 million euro fine. Alright, and with that, we call it a wrap here on KTV Primetime News. Many thanks indeed for making a date with us and now up to date with KTV Primetime News. Our sign language interpreter for the night has been Makrine Ching. My name is OMONDI. OTIENO. Shall be with you tomorrow during the Primetime News, and of course we shall be bringing you updates on the vetting of the nominees for the Cabinet Secretary positions. You have a great night. Till tomorrow.